Good morning, guys. So today we are going on another famous graves tour. This time we're out here in San Francisco, California. Actually, we're just south of San Francisco. We're in Colma, California. There's a whole story behind this place. It's actually pretty unbelievable, but this cemetery I'm at right now is stunning. Like, you gotta see this. Check this out. So we are right here, kind of at the entrance. You come up the main driveway and there's this roundabout here with all these crosses. And it is just, I mean, they are everywhere. So different from the last place I was at with, you know, all the flat tombstones, or I guess grave markers, I would say. But all these headstones here, I mean, everything is pretty much out of the ground. It is unbelievable. It's outstanding and beautiful. And then as you go that way towards the entrance, there's all these above ground mausoleums and crypts that are just huge, like really big and beautiful, and the architecture in them is absolutely gorgeous. So let me talk about this town really fast. It's a very, very interesting story. So I'm in the town of Colma, California, which is just south of San Francisco itself. It is literally, I mean, it touches San Francisco. And it is crazy because it is actually nicknamed the City of the Silent. It is the absolute definition of a modern day necropolis. Basically what happened was back in the early 1900s, I believe it was the 1920s, you know, San Francisco was booming and it was growing. And even though San Francisco is a big city with a huge population, it's not a big city. It is 7 miles wide by 7 miles long. So there is a lot of stuff. There's a lot of housing and buildings and everything just crammed into a 14-mile radius, basically. So even though it takes you a long time to get around, it's not really that big as far as, like, you know, land itself. Pretty trippy. So anyways, back in the, you know, 1920s, I believe, or early 1900s, let's just say for a time frame, there was, they needed space, right? So what they did was they moved hundreds of thousands of bodies. I'm not joking. Hundreds of thousands of bodies to Colma from San Francisco. They needed the space because they needed land for buildings and housing and all that kind of stuff. So they just literally dug up hundreds of thousands of bodies and moved them to this town. Now I got to tell you though, I've been to this town before. I've only driven through it though on the freeway. I've never had a reason to come to Colma, and until I did research on the graves that I wanted to visit today, I had no idea really why, and I was just stunned at like the story behind this city. It's crazy. So I'm just kind of taking a walk. I kind of have an idea where I'm going, but I wanted to show you guys some of these things while I walk around, just kind of tell you the backstory on this town. So it's wild. There are, you're not going to believe this, there are over 1.5 million people buried in this town. There are only 1,300 residents as of 2020. Yes, that's right. 1,300 residents living in this city. 1.5 million people dead and buried here. Now, in this town, there are, I can count 12 cemeteries. Other than cemeteries, there are, body shops and auto car places, like a little industrial areas kind of around with different kind of specialty shops, painting, all that stuff, right? But it is a majority all cemeteries. And as I was driving here, as I got off the freeway, I was just stunned at how many cemeteries are. You are literally going by a cemetery every block. It is unbelievable. Okay, so yeah, I believe, hold on, let me get my facts right. I think this town was founded in 1924, I believe. Don't quote me on it. That's just the date that kind of sticks in my head from when I was researching. But yeah, there's a lot of people resting here. There's a lot of famous people resting here. And we only have time for a few today. I do have a few other things to do. Look at that pretty glass window right there. Very pretty. All right, so yeah, I can't believe the amount of people buried in this town. You have over 1.5 million people buried, 1,300 residents. That is a ratio of 1,000 to 1. That is just I can't believe that. You have 1,000 buried bodies in this city for every living person. Can you, I mean, just fathom that, right? Just put that into your mind. It's just, I don't get it. That is just so crazy. It's, I don't know, it's wild. But anyways, all right, on to why we're here. So we have a few people we want to visit here. There's a mausoleum here that's supposed to be really big and beautiful, and I want to get there. God, there's a lot of people I could visit here. I think we're only going to have time for 2 today because I need to, God, I got to explore this place a little bit. It's crazy and it's beautiful. All right, but I'm rambling now. Let me go ahead and let me get to where I want to go because I actually see it straight ahead where I'm going. All right, now I am a huge sports fan. Baseball, football, basketball, even soccer. And I had to come here because I just learned that Mr. Joseph Paul DiMaggio is resting right here. Isn't this beautiful? This is so pretty. You can see my reflection probably right there, but this is it. Joe DiMaggio. Mr. 50-game hit streak. Married to Marilyn Monroe. And it's kind of crazy, actually. We all know what Joe DiMaggio did on the baseball field, right? I mean, all his World Series championships and all his, you know, just the hitting streak and just how legendary he is with the New York Yankees. It's pretty crazy, right? Like, everything he's done. But, you know, one thing that I really kind of admire about Joe DiMaggio is his I guess, conditional love and loyalty to Miss Marilyn Monroe. You know, he was once married to her. And, you know, his lawyer talked about after Joe DiMaggio's death, he never stopped loving Marilyn Monroe. Actually, when she did die, he claimed her body, and he is the one that made all the funeral arrangements. Yeah, he's just, I mean, he was so in love with her even after their separation. He never stopped loving her, you know, and that is just amazing, you know, that you have one person in your life that you will love that way, and that is so admirable of Joe, you know. And actually for the next 20 years, this actually gets a story from his lawyer. So for the next 20 years, he had roses delivered to her grave 3 times a week. And it's just like, who does that, right? Who does that? I mean, we never forget the ones we love, but who does something like that? It's just amazing that he did that. And actually, his final words, according to his lawyer, were, "I'm finally going to go get to see Marilyn." Like, wow. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what to say. That is love. I mean, that is absolute unconditional love for somebody, you know, that you do that for 20 years after their passing, and you make sure that she has fresh, beautiful flowers, you know, for 20 years, you know, nonstop, replacing her flowers 3 times a week. That is just unbelievable, right? And then his last words, you know, "I'm finally going to go get to see Marilyn." Isn't that beautiful? That's absolutely beautiful. What an amazing person. I mean, that's just, I don't know, just amazing. But yeah, here we go. Mr. Joseph Paul DiMaggio, November 25th, 1914, March 8th, 1999. He did die from cancer. Grace, dignity, and elegance personified. Absolutely, I agree with that. And look at this I'm glad that, you know, no one has taken this Yankees hat. I'm glad that they leave it right here. People have placed baseballs here, which is great. And it's just beautiful. It looks like he is above ground, which is very cool. Just a beautiful, beautiful resting place right here. A little above ground crypt. And when you come in from the main entrance, actually, so the main entrance is there, and you come over to this little roundabout, right? You just kind of circle around the roundabout. You can see my van there. But he's right here. Right, there's a little parking area right here that they built for him because he gets that many visitors. But yeah, absolutely beautiful. Joe DiMaggio, hitting streak champion, legend. So yeah, as a baseball fan, that right there is a very touching moment. Yeah, I don't know, it's just, I say it all the time, but anytime you walk up and you find these actual graves of these people that you are icons and that you idolized growing up or whatever, and just know their history, it makes your heart like sink, right? When you see that tombstone or that grave, it is just like, boom, heart drops. pretty wild. So, all right, we're going back to this giant mausoleum over here because somebody else that I want to visit and talk about that you guys will. You guys may not know her, but you know of what happened for sure. Okay, can we just take a second and appreciate the size of this mausoleum? It is huge, and from what I've seen online and other videos, it is stunning inside. I'm thinking I want to go to that wing over there, just because those window colorings look familiar. But my goodness, let's take a walk through, and let me just kind of show you guys what's in here. I haven't been in here yet, so this will be our first time walking this together. Okay, now walking inside, I actually recognize everything pretty easily. But when you come in here and you come to that little centerpiece right there, you just come here, make a right. And right here, though not a Hollywood entertainer, her her tragic story is kind of important to the world, and this is one of the most famous murders, I guess, of all time, sadly. So, yeah, right here we have Miss Abigail Folger, Abigail Ann Folger, and you know the name. That's obviously the Folger Crystal Coffee Company. She was an heiress to it, but she's also, unfortunately, one of the people who was brutally murdered during the Sharon Tate, Charles Manson murders. You know, when Charles Manson and his people, his cult following, went inside and killed not only, you know, Sharon Tate, but Abigail Folger as well. God, that was August 9th, 1969. And it's a famous story. It really is. There's been so many documentaries and videos about this occurrence, and everybody knows the craziness of Charles Manson and his cult. I mean, even up recently, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, by Quentin Tarantino, that movie was about, you know, the tragic story that happened that night, and Abigail Folger is one of the, you know, people that unfortunately passed away. She was young too. She was really young. Super sad story, and it looks like she's probably resting with a relative. I'm not sure who this is. Possibly her mother, Inez Folger. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't research that. But yeah, Abigail Ann Folger, part of the Sharon Tate murders, one of the most historic, well, not historic, but legendary murder stories there is, that history has, that Hollywood has, actually. Very sad. So, yeah, and this giant mausoleum right here, Abigail Ann Folger, 1943 to 1969. Very tragic story. And right here, very easy to find, actually. Probably the easiest thing I've ever had to find was this one. Paul Kentner, right here. March 17th, 1941 to January 28th, 2016. Let there be travelers who venture far from the beaten path, and let one of them be me. Paul Kentner. Now, he was a musician and guitarist for the legendary rock band Jefferson Airplane. You guys know a lot of their songs. I unfortunately can't play them for you because of copyright, but you do know a lot of his songs. Don't You Want Somebody to Love is one of them. And Jefferson Airplane then became Jefferson Starship in the, I want to say late 70s. But yeah, right here, Paul Kentner, legendary musician. And, yeah, right here on the north side in this, it's kind of a different area, it looks like. But yeah, pretty easy to find right here. I'm just walking around and I'm just noticing how beautiful all of these are. I mean, God, just the cold air. It is always cold over here. It's always cold, misty, foggy. And you have all these, crosses and monuments with all this, moss growing on them. And it just looks beautiful. I had to stop and pull over with how pretty it is. I mean, look at these. Aren't those very just pretty? I don't know what else to call them, but yeah, I don't know. Just had to stop by and just kind of show you guys because the moss growing is just, it's crazy. You don't get that on the East Bay side where I'm at, and definitely I haven't seen that in Los Angeles. But right here, next to, well, the Pacific Ocean is just over those mountains. But that's why you get this foggy, cold, moist air, and these are all just growing moss. It's pretty unusual. All right, now this next grave we're gonna visit is not somebody you're gonna probably know by name, but you're gonna know it by sound for sure. And I think, oh, actually, get that. That was actually pretty easy. In loving memory, Vince Giraldi. Now, the name won't be familiar, probably, unless you are a big fan of the Peanuts movies, because he is the musician and the composer of all the music in the Peanuts specials. It's a Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, Christmas special. He wrote all that music. Now, I can't play it, obviously, because of copyright. But I mean, God, you know them. I mean, there's the Lucy and Linus song, the da-na-na-da-na-na-dun-dun. You guys know that one, right? And then Christmas time, Christmas one. The da-na-na-na-na. That one. Sorry, I'm doing my best. I'm not a singer, but, I'm trying. But, yeah, Vince Giraldi. Resting over here in Colma, this necropolis out here near San Francisco. It's so big, guys. I am so far away from where I was earlier, and it's but looking at landmarks is pretty easy to help find stuff. But yeah, this is one of the people I want to pay respects to because God, he made some music that is in all of our heads, but we just don't know his name. Vince Giraldi, July 17th, 1928, February 6th, 1976. Yeah, just driving around, and my God, some of these above-ground mausoleums are unbelievable. And they have a lot. This whole driveway coming in, there is a lot of them. I'm actually looking for one of these right now. Not sure where it's at. It should be right around here somewhere. But I just kind of wanted to drive and show you guys how cool some of these look. Okay, we're going to finish off here. This is actually right at the main entrance, just to the left when you first drive in the main driveway. Yeah, and this is the above ground, it's a big mausoleum too, above ground mausoleum for Leon Forrest Douglas. Another name that may not ring a bell, but right now, for all you YouTubers watching and creating, a lot of these videos wouldn't exist without this man. He is the founder of the Victor Talking Machine Company. So I think you guys remember the Victrola. God, it was like key in home audio back in like the 20s. Like, one of the first guys who created sound basically, and being able to have sound in video. He is kind of the primary inventor for that. So he invented all that early audio technology for movies and TV and all that. He created lenses for cameras, different kind of cameras. He created the first underwater camera. Yeah, he's he's just so important to, you know, video, primarily the audio for video alone. But I mean, he did a lot of video as well. Let me see if I can get a peek in here. It looks like it's pretty misty, the windows. You can't really see in. There's a couple empty spaces there, but this is where Mr. Douglas is resting at. So, yeah, very, very key person in technology when it comes to audio and video, because he created not only the early standards, but the early ideas. So without this gentleman right here, you know, who knows where we'd be with audio and video for technology, you know. All right, guys, thank you for joining me on this this quick trip. You know, it was kind of spontaneous. I had to get my car worked on, and I knew I was going to be in this area, and I wanted to come and visit primarily Joe DiMaggio, you know. So, but yeah, thanks, guys, for coming along on another adventure. I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. I do have a lot more planned. I enjoy coming out here and paying my respects. So thank you guys very much. And yeah, I will see you on the next grave tour.